Universal Medicine is a multi-million-dollar healing organization. Its marketing claims that it's about helping customers make healthy, self-loving choices and to find true well-being. Many followers rise in the early hours of the morning, hours before dawn, and adhere to its restricted diet. Gluten, dairy, root vegetables, and other nutritious foods are not only regarded as unhealthy in but as damaging, both to human beings and metaphysically to the integrity of the universe. Hi, I'm Esther. In reality, Unimed's healing beliefs and practices, as espoused by its unqualified proprietor Serge Benhayon, have little to do with improving health. The Unimed Living website claims Benhayon eats one restricted meal a day. The article was written by his wife, Miranda, who has no higher education achievements. It says he only eats fish, vegetables, and the occasional lamb dish. Serge claims that none of the criticisms made of universal medicine are legitimate.
For the last 3 years we've been attacked on the internet and we know what the type of characters are and so forth, and also through the media. Can somebody put their hand up and tell me a criticism that you have heard about our way of life? Distinguish criticism to lies and attack, because I haven't yet ever been criticized. I've been attacked on lies. They have to lie to attack us. What can they actually criticize? You go to bed too early? You look well, you look vibrant, your health is up, your skin looks good, you look 10 years younger, you work more, you do lots of voluntary work, you don't swear as much, you eat well. What can actually be criticized? I haven't been criticized yet.
Serge talks about health problems among community members attempting to emulate his eating regime. He infers it's better to be ill than to be a critic.
So the way of the Livingness days will be like this from now on. It'll be presenting what we need to get on with. It's the very deeply religious, scientific and philosophical aspect of us. And we need to go to that next level, and everything else will be left behind. What we're going to reproduce is what is supposed to be here, and not wait because the student body's saying, "Oh, I'm not ready. I have an issue with this word, have an issue with that, or I have an issue with this person, and I'm reacting to the student body." Anyone who reacts to the student body and goes, "Yeah, you know why? They hug for too long, they walk too slow. They're all getting too thin because they think they can just eat one meal like Serge does. They've all got depleted iron levels because they don't commit to life. They have issues of lead poisoning. They got issues of this, they got issues of that. Mercury readings are off the scale." Whatever, at least you're in this room. And that to me makes you 1 million miles ahead of everyone else. So if you want to look across and criticize someone, at least look up first, see that there's a ceiling, look around you, see that there's 4 walls, look underneath that there's a floor, and that they're actually in this building. And then look outside, and hurl your criticism at those who pretend to care and are not in this room, showing us their mettle, or at least challenging us if our way of life is not true.
I would assume the high mercury levels result from overconsumption of fish. He says that adherents have been reported to child safety authorities for restricting their children's diets. He associates children's consumption of dairy and gluten with obesity, lack of intelligence, and psychological instability. He provides no evidence to back those claims.
That's huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Read it again, Nick.
Instead of true coexistence, where all is and all are the very least respected and left alone to evolve, or not by their choices, and functioning in a manner where one's choices do not intrude on others, we have exercised a manner of being where there is stark privilege to those who obey a certain way of being and its rules and bounds, and there is maltreatment to those who do not obey and play ball with the espoused way of being.
Yeah, you could have social services knock on your door and inquire why your kids eat gluten-free and dairy-free these days. You've got to play ball. Make sure you have your obese kids, not sprightly, brightly, beautiful, alert and aware children that are evolving and becoming initiates. If you put out dumb, dull down, reactive, and kids that will look like they're eating the same lunch as everybody else, you'll be left alone. But if your lunch looks different to everybody else, you may even get reported. Play ball, you're left alone. Don't play ball, you'll have the maltreatment. That's in a democracy, by the way. No one's dobbing you into the fascist government, so-called.
While customers are often initially attracted to what appears to be a health service, eventually they realise they've joined a religion. UM's occult beliefs and practices are preoccupied with transcendent states, higher spiritual initiations, the path of return to the soul, and reincarnation.
No parent says that, but yet they do that. They produce puppets for the lords of form, energy that's just going to grab them and make them do things that they think is right when they can't think, because nobody thinks. So they're producing children that are basically handed over to an energy, because access to the ageless wisdom is available to everybody at any time during any and every reincarnation. And we've had at least 2,300 lives each, and therefore each and every person has had the ability to tap into everything I tap into. No different, no special privileges. I'm just a person who's reflecting the call and the representation of the call, and I have made that call for myself and on behalf of humanity, and therefore I've done everything that it takes for me to be a part of the hierarchy. You have the right to make that call, and you haven't made that call.
There's also energetic consequences. Benhayon teaches that everything is energy, and that your every thought and gesture from thousands of lifetimes impacts the universe.
In time, people will understand that you only have to move your small finger and the whole cosmos knows about it. So expression is everything means that everything that you do has a bearing in the universe. And we're one of the only few beings that carry what I would call extra limbs. For example, your soul doesn't have arms or legs. And there's not many planets that I know of that have arms or legs. So we have, when we move our elbow, when we bend our elbow, when we move our fingers, we have an enormous impact on life on Earth and also on the cosmos. And one day we will learn that we've become so complicated that we added actually arms and legs. Whereas in other planets, they don't have arms and legs. Mm-hmm. They don't need to eat, and they don't have a mouth, they don't have a stomach. They communicate purely by intuition and impression. So for them, life is super, super simple, because it's really just about expression. In other words, just the beingness is enough. And as they move, they understand that they're moving and creating vibrations in the cosmos, so they actually move in the way that they would never disrupt the harmony. Whereas here on Earth, we don't care how we fold our elbows. But one day humanity will understand that folding your elbow creates an enormous impact on the universe.
From beliefs of that kind come teachings that behaviours that aren't aligned with the way of the livingness result in disease, misfortune, bad karma, and all the world's woes. What calls energetic responsibility is magical thinking, blaming phenomena that occurs on a global scale or larger on insignificant personal choices.
The bottom line, though, is there is no way out. Either you don't accept it now, you'll accept it later.
Yeah.
There's no get out of jail card. You just have more lives going into the mouth, or more crossing over the bridge. And that's perfect. There's no judgment in that. It's a perfect acceptance of everybody's right to delay as long as possible. But remember that every choice you make affects everybody. You're not swimming in that pool of urine by yourself. All of humanity is in there with you, because everything you do affects everybody, because it's all interconnected. So that's when you really have to feel, wait a minute, it's my responsibility is actually harming everyone. Can I live with that?
Dietary discipline is also equated with godliness.
But each of us basically has a cap on how much we're willing to know God. There is nobody in this room that doesn't have a cap, or you would be standing where Serge stands today. Well, we decide how much of God we'll let in, and we determine which part of the life we'll be esoteric in and which part we want. That comes down to our food choices. We say, and that's what Serge presented this morning, willing to do dairy, gluten, willing to do sugar, willing to do all of those things. But I'm not going to look at quantity of food. And I'm certainly not going to look at which particular food I need on a particular night to help keep me connected. So you can have a diet that's basically broccolized soup, and you'll still bastardize it because you'll have 6 bowls, or you'll have it when you don't need to eat. And so even in these minor details, we can see how we actually, and I'm using food because it's an easy example and we've all done it, but we can see how we cap ourselves. So if you want a personal example, I could talk about the way I overeat, the way I use food. I could talk about the certain scenarios where I don't present a truth to somebody because I don't want to get attacked in that moment.
The way of the Livingness beliefs about the human body are ambiguous. Serge teaches that the body is sacred, that all true knowledge is held within the body, readily accessed by anyone who is prepared to feel it. At the same time, the body is easily polluted by bad energies. The more esoteric a person becomes, the more sensitive they are. The body is seen as something to shed on the path to divinity.
We've got to be careful that the language doesn't bring in the personal. I'm a woman, I'm a man. Don't do that. Just purely look at the particle and the spirit incarnated. But the spirit, before the physical body, there was just spirit, no physical body. So it created. Just created a physical body. You get it?
Yeah.
And you enter it as a spirit, so to speak. And you have your first experience in incarnation in a physical woman's body. You also created that male. But you're experiencing, at that moment in time, there wasn't death and reincarnation, there was just evaporation. In other words, you disintegrated the body. Or you just let it rot, whatever. You actually removed yourself and you let the body just drop dead, and then it would just decompose. So death was actually a will, just a withdrawing. Similar to today, but much more, you could do it at any time. You didn't have to wait till old age. So that's what we're going to learn tomorrow, why we have the system we have the system, because it's interesting and why you end up. But before that, long ago, you could just create, hop in. In other words, basically, I hate this sucks, I'm out of here.
Illness is seen as part of the esoteric path to the soul, not because of the radical lifestyle changes followers make, but because illness is a form of cleansing.
We are not asked whether form has will or not, but the fact that it is given will by virtue of the fact that it was co-created, that is, made to be all that is formlessness, and hence it indeed has will, and by that law it has its own will to exercise.
If you guys are noticing, none of that which is being presented today is appealing, and it doesn't appeal because it doesn't belong to creation. And what you're reading here is not being connected to, or mostly not connected to, and some are not connecting at all, simply because it is way too far in the future, what you're hearing today. What you're being presented today is beyond the current form of intelligence. And I can feel, as universal medicine is presenting and going and keeping up with everything, that today it's a little bit slow, and the students are getting a little bit of a realization of where they've been at in relation to the adjustments that have been dropped by the hierarchy to advances. But I need to share with you that if nothing is given in this sermon that hasn't already been given by way of light into your body for you to understand, that means that if you find it difficult to grasp and not realize where it's coming from, and your body is heavy with it, it means that you have been moving in a way that allows energy to precipitate into your body in order to knock you out when you hear it, because it's the denseness compared to the light is clashing, and the denseness is winning out. You need to understand that what you're experiencing is an endocrine experience. An endocrine experience is when your body at its homeostatic level, its chemical organization and synergy is not keeping up with the energy of life. And that means it becomes an autoimmune condition when we essentially, by not stepping up and expressing and not living, we are basically attacking ourselves. So endocrine conditions are going to go through the roof. That's the next round. And it's going to happen in the student body. You're not going to be excused, simply because it's about stepping up, and it's about attuning your body to live in a certain way that keeps up with what the energies are. And it'll start to become hormonal imbalances, periods. Nobody has normal periods anymore. And there's lots going on in our bodies, and all it requires us is to be in tune with the flow of what's been offered. We've been crying out for help for thousands of years. The help is here energetically, and we have access to more than ever before. We have more awareness and more feelings and more available intelligence. But if we don't live that, if we don't keep up with that, and we focus on the attraction that creation grabs you with, and you can't have a balance between the temporal life and what is actually needed, then the body will start to wear down, because you're calling in energy to attack it. Don't be surprised if you are more exhausted than before, and don't be surprised if your mercury levels are through the roof. Don't be surprised if you're more toxic than ever before. Don't be surprised, as I said, exhaustion. Don't be surprised if you've got autoimmune markers. Don't be surprised if you've got inflammation. Don't send me the email in surprise. Just send it in confirmation. Yes, Serge, I heard you clearly say that I need to be in my power, live in my fullness, attune my body to... Don't say, oh, I've got this, as in, how did it happen? I'm a student of the way the living is, it shouldn't happen. You know, we're against the trend of illness and disease, so why is that happening to me? So you need to send, yes, Serge, you were right. In 2016, 2015, you said that. Truth is, this is how I've been living. This is my condition. How can I get out of it? And I'll say, not be love, be in your power. I know it sounds harsh, but I love and I care. Yeah? And if I don't say these things, then to me it's not loving.
Comfort, feeling good, staying out of conflict are not part of the esoteric ideal. At this presentation, he was joined on stage by long-term promoters, behavioural specialist Tanya Curtis in the black scarf, and psychologist Mariana Maciorski in pink. Seen in the audience is Benhayon's solicitor Paula Fletcher, youth worker Sarah Davis, and psychologist Caroline Raphael.
But you also have to have the ability for the body to say good is not good, and that we have settled for a level of comfort. Your body has to ache comfort. Your body has to ache good. You know, and I don't mean in a torturous way, in a way that it feels completely uncomfortable and completely in dis-ease, hyphenated. In other words, the Lords of Form want a very good world. They don't want the conflict. So I can be in a room of people and feel the disgusting settlement of comfort. And to me, that's a call. I'm immediately in contact with the hierarchy saying, what do I do here? What alchemy can I produce here? What can I do? And that's why sometimes I come across as being a little bit hard on the student body, but it's only because we've got to shape the comfort. It's not, I'm not screaming at you. I've never screamed at anyone for being an alcoholic or being a drug addict, have I? But I scream at you for being in comfort, because that is much more damaging. The other is real. You will hurt yourself and you will make your own call. Like, enough is enough. I'm sick and tired of hurting myself. Right? That's a call. You say it to yourself. But you'll never make that when you're in good, because your life is good. You will not say, damn this good. It's too good, damn it. Maitreya, get me out of this good. It's too good, please deliver me from this good.
These presentations are regularly attended by promoting doctors like Maxine Schremke.
But what we have here is the most amazing community in the world. We each and every single one of us have had the most extraordinary revelatory transformations in our lives that occur on a daily basis, and that have not just occurred once, but they occur continuing day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year. Every single person here is a living, walking miracle, and our lives are more miraculous through the way that we live, through this way of living. And that cannot be disputed even by just looking around the room. Just for every single person in the world wants what we've got. Every single person wants love. Every single person wants to feel amazing, to feel vital, to feel incredible, to feel healthy. I've got younger in the last 10 years. I've not aged, and I could name so many people in this room how we're incredibly young, vibrant, vital, and enormously healthy. Is this really something we want to hide or cower from sharing from the world? Because perhaps there might be a reaction to the word religion or a reaction to the word cult. Do we not know that when we're full and claimed, nothing can enter? So there's only room for truth. And also the incredible health transformations, the physical transformations that we've seen, that I'm a doctor, as you know, and I've not seen anything like this in any of my medical practices, and I'm sure that all of my medical colleagues here would agree the same. And I know that my colleagues who are not in this room, who are not living the esoteric way, would also agree that they've never seen anything like this in their life or any professional careers. There's nothing like this in any of the medical journals.
NHS surgeon Eunice Minford is another promoter, as well as ophthalmologist Dr. Anne Malat, GP Dr. Jane Barker, lung specialist Dr. Samuel Kim, and GP Amelia Stevens. Among the allied health professionals promoting are psychologists Brendan Mooney and Cynthia Hickman, as well as physiotherapists, nurses, midwives, and dentists. Not to mention academics, teachers, and lawyers. Apart from abnormalities showing in pathology tests, many followers look unwell, but they're defensive of what they believe is their sacred way of life. I won't post her image, but a woman who really does look dangerously ill, very seriously underweight, spoke at a Way of the Livingness presentation last year. Perhaps the people or the person who confronted her could have done so with more sensitivity. I don't know, I wasn't there. However, what was explained to her as an expression of care, she interprets as an attack on women's bodies.
As women in the world, it is absolutely true and a very key point that our bodies come under attack. So a woman walks into, if we can relate everything that's been talked about today through all the presenters, and how things have been throughout the ages. If we consider in today's context, for example, a woman goes into a meeting amongst all her colleagues, male and female. A woman who holds herself in her sacredness and in the absolute beauty of that brings very interesting reactions, as we know. So there can be colleagues, or it might not even be at work, it could be anywhere, walking into a shop and how people respond to you. There's often the comments on your body, how it looks, physicalities, where there's an assumed right that people can make those comments, yep, and that they can make them in front of everyone that's there. And that there's the explanation that they're showing concern and, you know, you're looking different, or you're looking this, or you're looking that. It's the very deep, part of the very deep wisdom and all this, and the very deep knowing is that as women, we carry a very, very deep sacredness that the world still has a problem dealing with. Us talking about this is honouring of the all. It's honouring of where we need to go. It is honouring of where we're returning to.
Universal medicine preaches to clients about responsibility. Yet, the company only acknowledges a relationship between the health of its customers and the advice of its practitioners when the claimed outcomes are positive. Followers come to believe esoteric piety invites a type of spiritual cleansing, that they're being blessed with illness. Cancer is portrayed as one such cleansing, and death as a healing.